Have you ever wondered what animals look like when they're born? Do they look like miniatures of their parents, or do they look different? Are enormous animals also big when they're born? Or are they smaller than you would expect them to be? What does a 7-ton elephant look like when it's born? Are polar bear cubs almighty and powerful when they're newly born? Are baby snakes venomous at birth? Do bats have rabies? Are baby swans already beautiful when they're born? If you stick around, you'll have those answers today. So cuddle up with your favorite bag of munchies as we count down 15 animals and what they look like at birth. Number 15 on our list is the elephant, the largest land mammal in the world. The elephant. We refer to the baby elephant as a calf, and it weighs around 250 pounds at birth, as big as a huge St. Bernard, and stands around 3 feet tall. They are the cutest little creatures with their clunky, curly black and red hair and their foreheads. Wild elephants normally give birth at night. We believe this is to provide them with an undisturbed environment. Labor lasts several days. When a calf is born, it falls 2 feet to the ground, but can sometimes be protected by the amniotic sac, still intact at birth. When they're born, the calves do not see well at first, but they can recognize their mothers by touch, scent, and sound, which allows them to remain close to their mothers. They usually help the newborn to its feet, and then the calf can stand on its own within minutes. Within 2 days, calves are proficient enough to join the rest of the herd. Calves drink about 3 gallons of milk a day. Number 14 on our list is the turtle, one of the slowest land animals on the planet. The turtle eggs are commonly buried in the sand, mud, or loomy soil that prevents the eggs from drying out during their development. Baby turtles are born on land but quickly find their way to the closest body of water. It hatches them with a shell. A baby turtle's face resembles like that of Spider-Man, with enormous oval eyes for their sides. Depending on the species, they range in color, and they can be olive green, yellow, greenish brown, reddish brown, or even black. At birth, turtles are tiny and fragile, and they have small limbs used as flippers adapted for swimming. Number 13 on our list, we have the majestic polar bear, a mighty beast who rules the tundra like no other. However, before polar bears become one of the largest and most powerful predators on the planet, they start out as really tiny babies. In the wild, they're born in a shelter of their mother's den. They're usually born between the months of November and January, the coldest part of winter, and not until late March will the cubs emerge from their den alongside their mother. Polar bear cubs usually weigh in approximately 16 to 24 ounces and measure 12 inches long. The males are slightly larger than the females. Baby polar bears look hairless at birth since their fur is very fine. They stay protected from predators inside the den where they spend most of their childhood. They're playful and ambitious, and mama bear has to make sure she never loses sight of her little ones, or they could easily find themselves in danger of other predators. I still wouldn't want to worry too much. I would just love to see the reaction of these predators when they see what mama looks like. Amazing kangaroo. Who doesn't remember Skippy, the 1970s television show that starred Skippy the bush kangaroo? Kangaroo birth is very gentle, and the babies are no bigger than the size of a jelly bean when they're born. Obviously, a kangaroo this size could not survive in the harsh conditions of the outback, or even a trip to the mall. So the mother guides her young by licking a path from her cloacal pouch. The cloacal is an all-purpose orifice through which kangaroos have sex, give birth, and jettison waste products. It sounds weird, but many animals wear them with pride. The baby kangaroo is called a joey, and at birth its eyes, ears, organs, and central nervous system aren't completely developed. About the only thing it has going for it, aside from its claws, is the olfactory bulb, a section of the brain devoted to the sense of smell. This allows the baby roo to follow the scent of saliva to the pouch. Red kangaroo joeys spend about 235 days in the pouch before popping out, and gray kangaroo joeys stay pouched for a better part of a year. That sounds cozy, don't you think? Number 11 on our list is the fastest animal on the planet, the speedy cheetah. Adult females give birth at intervals of 17 to 20 months, but if cubs are killed, she may mate and give birth sooner. The gestation period is between 90 to 95 days. Litter size averages 3 to 5, but may vary from 1 to 8 cubs. At birth, cubs weigh at 150 to 400 grams. That's about a third to 0.8 pounds. After 4 to 11 days, they open their eyes. The nursing period ranges from 3 to 6 months. Cubs are born blind with a thick grayish mane that appears to provide additional camouflage from predators. This newborn hair is lost about 3 months later. Cubs follow their mother. After 6 weeks, the mother searches for an unknown area to rest and hide almost daily. The mother teaches her young to hunt until they separate from each other, which usually is after 13 to 20 months. After 4 months, baby cheetahs have the tawny, spotty coats of an adult. By the time a cheetah is 15 months old, it will have reached its full adult size and will have a white tip on its tail. Number 10 on our list is the cold-blooded snake, Snakes, depending on their species, are born several ways. Some snakes are hatched, other snakes give birth to their young in one of two ways, by either nourishing the baby snake inside of her until it's born, or by carrying the eggs until it hatches them inside of her. Snakes are born in groups or clutches. Baby snakes are strikingly similar in appearance to adults. The most obvious difference is in size. Coloration scales and head shape differ from species to species, but remain the same when comparing adults to babies. Baby snakes are venomous, so it's not time to take them in your hands if you find them cute. Adult snakes carry their young in their mouths, just like a cat would, to protect them. Isn't that kind of adorable? Terrifying. Number 9 on our list is the mysterious bat. Since bats live in very large colonies, it isn't hard for them to find each other to mate. The breeding season for the bat is in the spring when temperatures are warmer. A female will only give birth to one young at a time. It can be a laborious process for a mother bat to care for her young, just like a regular human. She has to continue flying for food while she's pregnant. The young bat will drink milk from the mother's body. When the young are born, they don't have fully developed wings. Once they develop, they'll start looking for their own food. While the young are being cared for, they typically hang from the furry belly area of the mother. This is where they sleep and where they eat. It also allows them to have some warmth from her body. It's common for many of these mothers and young to huddle up to keep them all warm enough. Baby bats are called pups, and they're born hairless, blind, and dependent on their mother to survive. They're only about 2 inches in length and weigh a few grams. Juveniles cling to their mothers for a few days and take around a month to grow strong enough for flight. It's important for people to avoid handling bat pups, though it is uncommon for bat pups to have rabies. Number 8 on our list, we have one of the most cunning animals on the planet, the fox. At birth, the cubs are covered in a fine gray woolly fur, have a pink nose which turns black within the first few weeks, weighs between 50 and 150 grams, and are blind and deaf. Their pupils are slate blue. Guard hairs appear, giving cubs a fuzzy appearance. Most foxes, it seems, are born underground. The average litter contains 4 to 6 cubs, and some larger litters can have 8. When fox cubs are born, they completely depend on their mother for food and warmth. The first couple of weeks, the mother rarely leaves them and depends on the male and probably other foxes for food. The cubs' eyes open and they start exploring their den. At about 4 weeks of age, the cubs venture outside but remain very close to the den. They are molting into a more familiar reddish color. 2 weeks later, the molt covers them in reddish-orange fur, and their faces have a little more vulpine shape to them. The ears and snout grow longer. At this stage, cubs are very active, playing for lengthy periods, chasing each other, or chewing a variety of objects they find. Number 7 on our list is the tapir. Often referred to as living fossils, tapirs are herbivorous mammals that have been around since the Eocene epoch, a period that ended 33.9 million years ago. At birth, these large piggy-like creatures, which are native to Central America, South America, and Southeast Asia, have brown and beige bodies offset by white stripes and spots. They lose their camouflage marks as they grow older. Tapir calves are born with eyes open and can stand and walk soon after birth. They're brown with white stripes and spots to camouflage them in the forest shade. Growing stronger, calves nurse a lot, but begin exploring adult food at around 6 weeks. Tapirs have a relatively lengthy gestation period of 13 months and only give birth to one baby at a time. The offspring, called calves, can stand at a couple of hours after birth and weigh 15 to 22 pounds. They look like brown and beige striped watermelons on legs, according to San Diego Zoo. The pattern is good for camouflage, but they lose the stripes as they get older. Calves aren't weaned at a specific time. Usually the mother will decide when she's done feeding the calf, around 10 to 12 months after birth, or the calf will stop nursing when the mother is ready to have another offspring. The calves stop growing at 18 months. At 2 to 4 years of age, calves are ready to mate and can live for 25 to 30 years. Number 6 on our list is the swan. Swans don't start out as graceful snow-white creatures we picture. Unlike their parents, the young birds, known as cygnets, have short necks and are covered with a thick coat of down which they wear for over 2 years. Swans hatching from their eggs is a glorious end to a long, drawn-out vigil that the female swan has endured for over a month. Severely weakened in need of food, the pen and cob will spend just 2 days at the nest with her hatchlings before their great life adventure starts. After the epic struggle to break free from the egg, it still covers the cygnet in a waxy layer that surrounded while it was in the egg, shielding it from the various liquids that were contained inside. This waxy coating gives them a wet look that they have when they're just hatched, but it soon disappears over the next few hours as it dries and some of it rubs off, when they push themselves against their mother and over nest material. Once dry, the baby swan takes on that light gray, fluffy appearance that made cygnets look so appealing to onlookers. The weight of the cygnet at the time of hatching is about 64% the weight of the egg when it was first laid, and missing 36% is accounted for in the egg's weight of shell, membranes, liquids, and moisture, and losses because of metabolism at 2.5% of its final weight when it's an adult. The cygnets are vulnerable at this stage. They have very little fear of anything, so their parents will now be at their most protective, even aggressive to an intrusion. They will rely on their parents to lead them to food, provide shelter, and set an example for them to follow. This is known as imprinting. What happens is that the first large moving object that the cygnet sees, it will lock onto and follow religiously until its time has come to fly off and make a new independent life on its own. Number 5 on our list is the panda. He's a fascinating bear. When giant pandas are born, they're not giant. In fact, they're almost comically small compared to their mothers. At around 90 to 130 grams, that's 3.2 to 4.5 ounces, newborn pandas are around the same size as a domestic cat's kitten. Not at all what you'd expect from a bear that tips the scales on 120 kilograms, 220 pounds. The bears are born pink, squealing, and blind, still looking like a fetus and extremely small. In fact, all bears have unusually small cubs, but the giant pandas, particularly. Cubs are very needy and vulnerable at birth. The limbs of a newborn panda are so weak that they can't stand at all. During 2 months after birth, the baby pandas rely on their mother's warmth, milk, and protection. In the wild, half of pandas give birth to twins. However, it's very rare for both cubs to survive, as panda mothers can only raise one at a time and abandon the second twin. Number 4 on our list is the bald eagle. Bald eagles, the national symbol of the United States since 1782, look different when they're born. Bald eagle light gray bodies transition to brown throughout the first 5 years of their life. Bald eagles are not born with their distinctive brown and white look. When baby eagles hatch, their entire bodies are covered with light gray feathers. At around 3 weeks, their plumage takes on a brownish coloration. Finally, at 4 to 5 years old, they acquire the distinctive brown and white color pattern. It takes baby eagles 10 to 12 weeks alone to at least leave the nest, although fledglings often stay around, learning from their parents and honing their flying and feeding skills for another 1 to 2 months. A bald eagle's white head may look bald, but actually, the name comes from an Old English word, bald, meaning white. Bald eagles were on the brink of extinction because of hunting and pollution, but laws created almost 40 years ago have helped protect them, and they've made a comeback. Female bald eagles are bigger than males. Their bodies can be 3 feet, 1 meter long, and their wingspan can be 2.4 meters or 8 feet across. That's about the distance of the floor to the ceiling in most buildings. Bald eagles build their nest at the very top of tall trees so the eggs will be safe. Some parents come back year after year to the same nest, adding more sticks, twigs, and grass each time. Babies, called eaglets, are born light gray, then turn brown. When they're 4 to 5 years old, they develop their normal white heads and tails. In the wild, they can live to be 35 years old or more. Bald eagles can soar over 10,000 feet, 3,000 meters high, and their great eyesight lets them see fish up to a mile away. When they attack, they can drop in at up to 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour. Then they glide just above the water, snag a fish with their feet, and fly off and eat it. Number 3 on our list is the silverleaf monkey, also known as a langur. True to their names, silverleaf monkeys are arboreal species found in Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia, can be identified by their dark silvery fur and black skin. But as babies, the monkeys look like they belong to a different species. When they're born, they have orange fur and light-colored skin. There are several theories why the creatures are born with such bright fur, and they include keeping them safe from predators, stopping them getting separated from their mothers, and even sending out a signal to the rest of the troop that they should think about childcare duties. The babies are intrepid and can venture a little too far from their mothers, but their fur allows them to be found easily. A baby langur can wear a mother out, so having a troop full of babysitters allows her to rest. The babysitters can also relieve the mothers so she can get something to eat. Silverleaf langur live in coastal and mangrove forest in Malaysia, Sumatra, and Borneo, and travel in groups between 9 and 40 individuals, with one adult male and a group of females caring for the babies of the troop. They rarely leave the trees, which keeps them safe from ground-dwelling predators such as leopards and tigers. During the day, they travel around 500 meters, some in all-female subgroups, but congregate in a single tree to sleep overnight. Female silverleaf langurs typically give birth once every 18 months to 2 years, and a female attracts a mate by shaking her head from side to side. Females give birth to a single baby after a gestation period of 181 to 200 days, and the babies are born measuring around 20 centimeters with a sturdy grip so they can cling to their mother. Number 2 on our list is the echidna. The echidna is an egg-laying mammal, or monotreme, native to Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea. Adult echidnas are coated with spikes, but their young, called puckles, don't grow quills until they're 50 days old. Echidnas evolved between 20 and 50 million years ago, descending from a platypus-like monotreme. The female lays a single soft-shelled, leathery egg 22 days after mating and deposits it directly into her pouch. An egg weighs 1.5 to 2 grams and is about 1.4 centimeters long. While hatching, the baby echidna opens the leathery shell with a reptile-like egg tooth. Hatching takes place after 10 days of gestation. The mother digs a nursery burrow and deposits the young, returning every 5 days to suckle it until it's weaned at 7 months. Puggles stay within their mother's den up to a year before leaving. Male echidnas have a 4-headed penis. During mating, the heads on one side shut down and do not grow in size, and the other two are used to release semen into the female's 2-branched reproductive tract. Each time it copulates, it alternates heads in sets of 2. When not in use, the penis is retracted inside the prepuptial sac in the cloaca. The male echidna's penis is 7 centimeters, 2.8 inches long, when erect, and its shaft is covered with penile spines. These may be used to induce ovulation in the female. Breeding season begins late June and extends through September. Males will form lines up to 10 individuals long, the youngest echidna trailing last, that follow the female in an attempt to mate. During a mating season, an echidna may switch between lines. This is known as the train system. The moment you've all been waiting for. Number 1 on our list is the fearsome shark. One of the most terrifying predators on the planet, a shark can be born 3 different ways, including live birth, hatching from an egg, and an egg and live birth combination. Plus, in some shark species, you have to survive gestation without being eaten by your developing siblings. Not that you could tattle on mom once you're out of the womb. After birth, shark pups are pretty much on their own. We'll get to that in a minute, but first let's take a look at how sharks get pregnant. As opposed to other fish, sharks use internal fertilization. Courtship between sharks often appears violent to humans. To get the female to stay in place, the male bites her fins or back. The male positions the female shark so he can align their reproductive organs, and then he inserts his clasper into her cloaca. The clasper, which in some species is spiny and barbed so it stays in place, transfers sperm into the female. At that point, the male shark, the ultimate deadbeat dad, exits the story, never to be seen again. In fact, the only time a shark pup may ever meet his or her father again is if the adult tries to eat the pup. It leaves the female to nourish the embryos growing inside. Oviparous species lays eggs that develop and hatch outside the mother's body, with no parental care after the eggs are laid. The embryos are nourished by a yolk sac inside the egg capsule. Viviparous species can be separated into 2 categories: placental, having a placenta or true connection between maternal and embryonic tissue, and aplacenta, lacking a placenta. Among the aplacenta species, there are those whose embryos rely primarily on a yolk sac for nutrition during gestation, and those that consume yolk-filled unfertilized egg capsules. There's even one species, the sand tiger, in which the 2 largest embryos that were fertilized first consume the other baby embryos of the litter. It's also been suggested that the young of some of the viviparous species may be nourished by uterine secretions during some part of gestation, but this has not been conclusively documented. There's no parental care after giving birth among viviparous sharks. There you have it, our loyal viewers, our top 15 list of animals and what they look like at birth. It's incredible to see how beautiful nature is when you witness a mother look out for their young and nurture them, no matter what the species. The way they protect them until they can face the challenges of life on their own is fascinating. Join us next time as we count down another wild and crazy list of top 10s. Please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more wild videos. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.